Now you're negotiating from something you've never seen or you've never done, right? And for the men, it's real simple, right? Because you only got like 450 players in the league, and all of them are outstanding. Well, in the women, you want to know why college basketball has been so successful. Money Mike's going to break it down because you got to put your owner's hat on. And if you look at this correctly in college basketball, or women's college basketball, why is it so successful? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's because the women transition every 4 years. You got new players, right? And you look at the WNBA, and why hasn't the WNBA grown and made more money? It doesn't transition players. You can't have players that have been in there of 150 players, and you got 125 of them that have been here for 10 years, right? That doesn't work. Right? Because the fans are looking at the same players, and then you go through an expansion draft. Now you go have the players put on another jersey, and then they go through another expansion draft. Now you want us to go out and put on another jersey. Well, nobody's buying that anymore, right? Because the business model doesn't work. The business model doesn't work. You have to draft a player. You have to cultivate a player like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. You bring them all in, and you keep them together, and they grow together. Right? And then people buy one jersey, you buy Steph's jersey, it's the same jersey, right? You don't have to go to another team, you don't have to change your number, you're doing all these things to try to make and generate revenue, right? So I'm saying this because you've got two different forms of business that you're doing, and the NBA players, the way they operate, I mean, everybody can't get a max. Everybody's not going to get a max, and the team doesn't offer you a max. Well, you got those mid-level exception players, go make your $2 million. And you got coaches, go pay them $5 million, because the WNBA are billionaires and they're not going to fold, okay? What they're doing is playing poker and they're pushing the chips all in. The only difference between the WNBA players, WNBA Players Association, the NBA owners, I'll make it simple to you. The NBA owners can go all in and buy more chips. The WNBA Players Association can't go all in, because now what you're dealing with, and I don't think people understand it, you're dealing with players with jobs. Because once you open the floodgates, I guarantee you, folks, I guarantee you, if you had 150 players that played in the WNBA this year, you can replace a good 125 of them. Easy. Not as hard as you think. They're not showing you because they haven't been to scouting. There's no grassroots. The other countries out there have been doing grassroots for years. There's no grassroots here, right? And you haven't seen all the talent. What you've seen is the players who make the tournament every year. Those are players they go draft. And then if you can get past that stage and make a WNBA team, because the WNBA players have cut a lot of players that should have been in the WNBA. That's going to stop, right? And they're not. If you look at the current rosters, here's where Money Mike is going with this, and I want you to understand this. If you look at the current roster of the WNBA players today, and you were paying these contracts, how many players would still be on your roster? How many players wouldn't be on your roster? It's like saying, okay, the New York Liberty, who's going to make the most money on our team? Because everybody now is going to want a multi-year contract, right? Because you got Sophia Cunningham. And I ain't mad at Sophie, because Sophie's like, I want a little house on the prairie, right? I want to be paid. And I'm not talking about all the money in the world, but I just want a multi-year deal. I can pay for my house and I'm good, right? So, but you got other players who are coming in now. They're like, I ain't playing for that, right? Think about that, folks. You got these college draft, Flo J. Johnson, woo, goodness, God. I mean, you're talking about players now who really can defend. I mean, you're talking about players now coming in with a band already, and they're looking for a bigger bag than 850 because they're already getting that bag. So now they put that bag with the NBA bag and let me use the NBA platform, and what can I do with that? And this is the real question for all the rookies that are coming in. How do I get to $5 million a year? For the agents, man, if you're managing a player now, and here's an example, right? I take a player like Malaysia Fulwiley, right? Malaysia Fulwiley, right? Malaysia Fulwiley is a great player. First, for Malaysia Fulwiley, Money Mike, there's only one thing I change with you. I need you 94 feet, pick them up. If I got Malaysia Fulwiley, this is how player management works, folks. You take a player who was with Don, who's Don's suspended players. Don's going to keep suspending players. Nobody's buying into what Don's talking about no more. They're going to get worse and worse for her, right? Because Don's going to have to come to the WNBA because somebody's going to be buying what Don's saying anymore. You're paying these players money now. But you get my Malaysia Politely, who goes over there and goes to LSU, right? Kim Mulkey's a whole nother bargaining chip at the table, right? I mean, Kim Mulkey had missed the national anthem and caused a ruckus down there in LSU. But then you got Stephen A. Smith, who brings up the racial tone of the race card, talking about Ole Miss and the SEC, and starting another barn fire, right? Because people doing this racist stuff, and that's why Stephen A. is going to be out at ESPN. The whole crew's going to be gone. They're going to bring a new crew in. They're going to bring people in now that you're starting to see who can speak for the WNBA and they're professionals, right? And they're moving their cast forward. Because why? Because Disney is the employer of ESPN, and I told you it takes one. I always told you guys, I said, guys, it takes one person to get you off, one shareholder. Well, it was Serena Williams' husband. Showed up and told Stephen A., you know what, you need to stay in your lane, buddy. And at the end of the day, he's got their ear and he said, you know what, it's time to get rid of this guy, right? Because he's not helping us build a business. And he's building his own business, but his own business is going to fail because he's going to lose the ESPN platform. And once he loses the ESPN platform, they're going downhill.